Hi everyone, how are you? My name is Marla Fernandez, and I'm coming on live on Marla Speaks channel, or my new channel name, which is Harmony, the Harmony Initiative. And this is the perfect place to find harmony and peace in the world and connect ideas and concepts that are being disrupted in today's world. So let's see how we could find harmony today. Um, let's see how we can find harmony today. And where are we going to start? I wanted to start by saying that there are many YouTube channels right now currently, and a lot of them talk about uh, the sanguine and Aristotle's sanguine, melancholy, choleric. And there's also a lot of channels that have the Myers-Briggs test, and they try to explain what it is. But there's one thing that nobody is talking about. One thing. One thing that you need to understand in order for you to be able to be a leader and to know how to live out your calling and your purpose. And that is understanding temperaments and personality types in order to build harmony and in order to move your ideas, your skills forward and be able to live your life with purpose. So let's come in. I don't have music, but maybe I'll put some music on. What do you think? No, I'm not going to put on music because my voice is so low. I need to get really close to you in order for you to listen. I just realized that in one of my videos, I was like really, really low. Um, and that is just part of me. I'm a sanguine, but I'm a high sanguine, high choleric, and a moderate phlegmatic. So, and I am a low melancholy. I don't like dealing in my melancholy, but I'm on an ENTP, and I need to deal with. I need to be able to balance all my freaking temperament, my whole entire my temperament, and I need to be able to balance my personality so that I can actually share ideas and help you learn how to do the same. So, how do we collaborate in the world and find harmony and peace? I have an idea, and I know that I could teach logic because I know how to do the Socratic method really, really well. Um, so, how are you today? Comment below if you're on here and let me know how you're doing. Let me know. Just comment below. I'd love to hear from you before we get started. Or if you're not going to comment, let's dive in deep into the fascinating world of this topic. Hey, how are you, Foggy City? Dave, how are you doing? Okay, so we're going to understand temperaments and the Myers-Briggs personality types and how it can help you build harmony in our world today around all kinds of different issues because that's what we need. We need to build harmony. And one thing my friend JW told me is that when you conflict, when you take sides, you conflict and you can't and you fail to um, harmonize and see the other person's ideas and for what they are, and you are when you conflict you can't what he said is you can't effectively have win-win outcomes. And so we want win-win outcomes. And when I was a paralegal and they were teaching me about negotiating, um, I hate it. Some people you're at the negotiating table and they have their bottom line, but they don't want to tell you their bottom line. And some people are afraid, so afraid that they're going to reveal something because there's not trust. So in order to be able to find harmony, you need to build trust. And I think many of us fail to build that trust because we are impatient with wanting to get the thing done. So here's the truth: before you can lead, you must understand yourself. And it's taken me 20 years to understand myself and where I place in the world. Thank you, Dave. So the ancient philosophers had it all right. So go back to Aristotle and start learning, rediscovering our wonderful philosophers of old, because they knew what they were doing. Um, and while you need to understand the philosophy behind the temperaments, you also can understand the philosophy behind the Myers-Briggs and help you discern what career is best for you. So I took the Myers-Briggs first, and then I took the Usborne Books test, and then I took the phlegmatic test from the church, and it took me about 10 years just like putting my personality into perspective in order to understand the all these different areas. So the idea of temperament has been around for centuries. It's rooted in the concept that humans have four basic uh, dispositions, and I think it's true. So sanguines, I'm a sanguine. I'm a high sanguine and a high choleric. Okay, we are enthusiastic, social butterflies. Okay, the choleric, we are high energy, driven, determined go-getters. So when you put a sanguine, when you have the sanguine temperament first, like myself, and then you have the choleric, and they're both kind of high, you have the enthusiastic energy. And so I was in my conflict when I was conflicting with other people. I noticed that people couldn't take the high the high enthusiasm and the high energy, and so I was they were conflicting with me, and I couldn't get it until recently, um, how to harmonize and diffuse in order to kind of um, share my ideas. I have a lot of ideas, and when I get ideas, it's like my enthusiasm goes up, my energy goes up, and I want to do it. But I'm not necessarily a choleric, so I'm not a high achiever. So I usually, if people don't see my idea, I have a tendency to kind of like, I'll forget it and just give up. And that's bad. That's my ENTP side. Um, and then you have the melancholy. I love melancholies. Melancholies are thoughtful and analytical perfectionists. I am not a melancholy, and it's very low on my scale. And while I can do it, and I am thoughtful and analytical, it's not my high point. And the reason is that when I'm talking to women, we women, we're lovely people. Men are lovely people too. My husband's a melancholy. And so this is what happens. They're very emotional. And so I don't have the patience to sit there and listen fully and be a counselor of these people. So I don't so I tend to kind of like revert to my phlegmatic, which is my moderate. So when I can't get on, when I'm a sanguine choleric phlegmatic, and then I'm a melancholy. And so the calm in me tends to kind of back away and just uh, find the peace seeking, be the peace seeking mediator in the whole scheme of things. And so let's bring it back to modern times. Um, and if you've heard of the Myers-Briggs, it's in college campuses. The counselors usually make you take Myers-Briggs, and I took this test twice. I wanted to understand it. I want to make sure that it was me. And so within the Myers-Briggs framework, it builds on your natural tendencies and behaviors to break down the 16 and break down the 16 personality types. But without understanding your temperament, I think that Myers-Briggs kind of skews things because it gives you way too many. It doesn't allow you to fully take into account your wonderful your nature, and so the temperaments are who you are, and sometimes those who you are is corrupted in the world. So when you understand this and you are able to maneuver around your temperament, then you're able to discern logically what career path you should take. And that's how you find truth in it. So the diagram for Myers-Briggs um, is defined by four key types: introverted or extroverted, which has been corrupted because I'm an ambivert and I could go between both. Um, these people are energized by solitude and social interaction, sensing or action. These focus on details or the big picture, and thinking and feeling. People rely on logic and empathy to make decisions. And then judging and perceiving, these people prefer structure over flexibility. And so I am an ENTP. So I prefer social interaction, and I use the social interactions in order to see the big picture. Once I can see the big picture, then I am able to connect the dots and move forward, and then I could play devil's advocate. Okay, yes. And I'm logical. I like operating more on logic than my emotions, but I'm very empathetic and I understand people. We're ENTPs are probably the best people in the world to assess everybody's personality and temperament. We know how to connect the dots. Um, but at the same time, we can be people we can be a pain in the butts. Um, and I prefer flexibility because flexibility over structure, for me at least, it allows me to be creative and to think and to create and to um, solve problems. The structure sometimes is too constraining, and structured people, if you know it, they stay within a box, and once they make a decision, it's like it's hard to break them away from that decision. And so, since I'm an ENTP, I'm a visionary and an idea generator. I have a ton of ideas, and so where I was coming coming to a clash with people was in the fact that my temperament is very. When I get an idea and I get these bursts of insights, it's like rays of light coming through my head. um I get really really excited, and once I understand the idea and I've logically said, okay, this is the way I should move. I'm very energetic, and sometimes I'm very pushy, but I'm not a boss. I'm not choleric. I'm more sanguine. And so in that trying to push forward, the cholerics would push against me, and then I can't get anything done. And so then I would revert to my phlegmatic, and I would take a step back. And then in taking that step back, sometimes I don't do anything at all, and I take forever just to get anything done. So we in TPs, we thrive on innovation and connecting dots and challenging the status quo. But here's the thing, being a visionary doesn't mean I have all the answers. It means I understand the role, my strength, and is connecting ideas and inspiring others. And that's where temperament and the Meyer Briggs come together. They help us understand not just ourselves, uh, but how to work with others effectively. And I hope that brings you a clarity in these personality types and why it's important. Another thing that really drives me nuts about melancholies is a lot of times the melancholies don't want to understand themselves. Like my husband, he's a melancholy, And I've been trying to get him to do the test for like 20 years. And he keeps telling me, well, you do the test. You do the test. And I'm like, I don't need to do a test. This is who I am. And I'm like, who are you? And um, so when you think about leadership, if you're an ENTP, you have the strength. Your strength might be innovative and brainstorming, but you'll need the phlegmatic temperament teammates for peacemaking and the melancholy minds for strategy and detail. And so when I was running for office, I needed that melancholy and that phlegmatic to help me make sense of my ideas. And so I want, and the reason I'm talking about this is because not only are in America do we have problems with communism and problems with structure and people not understanding the role of our government in the world, which is quite different from everybody else's government. Um, in the Catholic Church, we also have conflict, and I'm here thinking about um, who am I thinking about? I'm thinking about the Pope and his approach to dealing with things in the world. And the Pope, I believe the Pope is a melancholy, and he is a phlegmatic second. So I think that he's very idealistic, and he wants harmony, and he wants to bring peace in the world. But I think he's doing it all wrong, and he's not thinking clearly on things, and his team is not he hasn't structured a good enough team in order for him to be able to think critically and discern. And so I wanted to bring perspective into the Catholic world. That's why I started with the personality tests, um, because I wanted to bring in how to harmonize in the church and how to understand what's going on in the world with the Pope. And um, so, so now that we've recognized the framework, um, and it's not just about self discovery, it's about recognizing our strength and needs of the people around us. That's how you build harmony. The other thing is the truth is that many people struggle in connecting the dots, like visionary ENTP. They might get stuck in the details and avoid tough uh, conversations. And that's why learning about the temperaments and the Myers-Briggs test is very important. It helps you become that bridge between ideas, people, and action. And the Pope, I'm going to tell you right now, the Pope, his leadership reflects a blend of melancholy, phlegmatic, and a touch of choleric. He's deeply reflective, calm under pressure, and occasionally bold when necessary. But his leadership also highlights the importance of collaboration. No one temperament or personality type um, has all the answers. And right now, he's messing up a lot and he's causing a lot of conflict with the whole Catholic world. And many Christians are telling us, many Protestants are saying, see, I told you, he's the Antichrist. It is very confusing, and I realized it was very confusing. I think it was 20 years ago, or 13 years ago when my son was born, and I just like didn't want to deal with it. But in this whole political scheme, uh, I think God is bringing me out of my comfort zone where I didn't want to. I'm like, I'm not ready to lead. I'm not ready to lead. No, 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 no. I'm gonna conflict. I don't understand who I am. I don't know what you want to do. I want to be Jonah. Um, and I think he's bringing me out because I'm an ENTP and I'm a visionary, and I think I could help people harmonize. I think Trump is just like me. Trump is very much an ENTP. He's a visionary. He knows how to set teams up. He knows how to put together a cabinet. And when he was running, when he won the last time when he was president, his problem is that he couldn't trust anybody, and that's typical of an ENTP. We need to be able to trust our teams and set up the right skill set for each duty in order to move our ideas forward so that we could bring harmony in the world. And I like Trump. I think you should not worry about Trump. I think he is a perfect person for this job. Um, and that's what I feel in my heart that people need to understand is he's a visionary and he will conflict with melancholies and cholerics. And so it's very critical that right now he think, and if Trump is listening to me, please think very, very strongly about who you have on your team because they will affect your team and your ability to work together and harmonize in the world. And your position, Trump, is very, very, um, is one that you need to be able to build those bridges and not conflict. Do you know what I'm saying? I think I explained it very well. So, how do we get started? Here's your homework. Discover your temperament. Really delve deeply into who you are. And then after you do those two tests, you want to get this book. Now discover your strengths. Because a lot of times we discover our weaknesses and we learn what our weaknesses are, but we forget about our strength. So understand your strength is the next step. And I will do another live, or maybe if I don't bore you to death. But discover your strengths, discover your weakness, default default responses to challenges. Then take the MBTI test and learn your personality type and explore how it influences your work, relationships, and goals. And then apply what you learn and use your knowledge to foster better communication and collaboration in your daily life. Um, and then the next thing I wanted to talk about is the world map and the interconnectedness um, of hands. But you know what? I'm going to come back live, so stay tuned because I'm going to take a little bit mini break right here, and um, we'll come. I'll come back live and we'll talk about what's going on in the world with the church and politics. Because I was reading about the summit that's being held in Brazil, and it's very crucial that you understand what's going on with the Pope and um, the World Organization. So I'll talk to you in a little bit. Maybe I'll come on live real briefly. Yep. So that's your homework, and then I'll come back a little bit later, hopefully, and we'll talk more on what's going on in the world because I think we need to find perspective and build that bridge so that people don't get afraid of what's going on and they can actually move with a purpose. And at least in America, I think America is strategically placed in the world in order to build that bridge, and all Americans are called, whether you were a Kamala or a Trump supporter, we're all called to hold our politicians accountable and make sure that they're advocating for us and they're protecting our individual rights. So whoever's in office right now, you need to push and you need to talk and you need to email and you need to be respectful and you need to think strategically, think critically, be logical, uh, diffuse your emotions, and see how we can solve the problems that we're facing in the world and build that bridge with everyone in the world so that we could be leaders again. I really see that us Americans are being the leadership again in the world. So, signing off, and thank you for being here. And hopefully, we'll talk more on politics. Thanks.